get good information out to you guys, the public. So want to thank my staff for putting this all together. And thanks for joining me in my living room on a Friday. This is where I spend most of my time these days. It's quite a test to do such a social job in such lonely circumstances, but as my partner in crime and ally here, who will be co-hosting today's town hall, our Chief Service Officer of the state of California, Josh Friday, can attest. There are ways to stay active, calisthenically, civically. We saw, Josh, you were getting ready for your co-hosting duties today. Have you been doing all your stretching?
Trying to.
Good.
A little stiff though, it's Friday, so I gotta loosen up for this.
In more ways than one. So Josh Friday is joining us live also from his living room, where he is single-handedly taken the mantle of architecting a service strategy for the governor with an incredible team, really working hand in hand with the entire state operations command center for the first time ever, really showing where service fits into crisis response. That volunteerism, as we're going to be talking about today, is really not just a nice charitable gesture, but it's really core to our function for recovery. And we've seen this happen in disasters before. You guys who are tuning in today have been through fires. We've been through the worst things you can see, mass shootings, things that really put us on our heels. And that volunteer, that community response, puts an architecture together that allows us to get through it. Blood drives, food assistance. We've never been tested, though, like we've been now, given our social isolation constraints. So whereas we didn't feel like we had to coach folks through how to give in the past the same way, today, what we're trying to do is learn, all the incredibly good news going around the LA and Ventura County areas. And we've got some huge leaders who are doing real work, and you're going to hopefully lift up your spirits at the end of a pretty good news week amidst a lot of loss. But also sort of coach you through it. So Josh, just before we get into your background, tell us some of the places you've been before taking on this endeavor here for the state of California, and maybe your journey into service yourself. Could you shed a little light on that?
Sure, I appreciate that. Thank you, Senator. Thank you for having us on, and you're right for being able to participate in what should be an inspiring and uplifting conversation, because we are in this incredibly unique moment. And what we're seeing here are Californians step up in a huge way. So thank you for hosting this and for all the work that you do to push others to serve each other. So I've been very fortunate in that I've had a chance to serve our state and in my communities and also our nation in a variety of ways. I served as a lieutenant in the United States Navy in Japan and in Guantanamo. And interestingly enough, right when this COVID crisis started, was exactly 9 years to the day I was on a warship in Japan following the nuclear disaster and tsunami that happened in Japan, where I got to see the role of the Navy in the biggest humanitarian aid and disaster relief effort. So I had the chance to be part of that as an officer in the Navy, and then came home and was able to work on climate change nationally with an organization called Next Gen Climate, and then also serve locally as a mayor of my town in Northern California before the governor asked me to come and take on this post and work with you all throughout the state of California now.
And so you're juggling that. I understand you have a few other duties at hand too, a number of in-house duties. You're a very fully tasked dad and husband too. Is that right? I hear you've got quite a tribe.
I have almost a basketball team. I got 3 young boys, And when Senator Stern plays with them, it is almost a full team. But we got 3 young ones. Yeah, exactly. 8, 5, and 2, and they are downstairs diligently doing their virtual homework right now. Not the 2-year-old; he's actually distracting the other ones. But
good.
They're all working.
That's how it should be. Just keep them off Instagram. Thanks for everyone tuning in from Instagram, by the way. So before getting into some of the nitty gritty here and really kicking off the call, let me just throw a couple quick updates. The governor just finished his daily press conference, talking a lot about our economic recovery planning, and sort of how to look over this curve as we reach our peak and start to look down the other side. But a couple other updates, because I know our audience has also been keenly interested in EDD, unemployment insurance, some deadlines. So let me just tick a few of these off the top of our sort of daily hit list here, and then we'll come back around. So DMV has extended online services. So you don't have to go there in person now to do some of this core work, and that's a big change, especially for renewing your vehicle registration. And they've automatically extended all commercial driver license through June 30th. Big news on the call center for EDD, which has been a headbanger for many, I know. Governor's got that open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week now. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. call center. And the PUA benefits for all you independent contractor and self-employed out there are coming online in less than 2 weeks with a 24-hour turnaround. So we had a really big week on that front. Stimulus check. For those of you waiting, make sure that you go to the IRS online portal and find the link there. Get my payment. It'll be front page. So make sure you get in line for that $1,200 stimulus check, as well as $500 per child. On April 15th, we just pushed out a new tranche of funding. We're going to be doing funding both for covered workers, but also for immigrant workers, $75 million of state assistance there. $42 million for young people in foster care and low-income families, really trying to fill the gaps in society and find out who's been left behind by all the other services. So if anyone out there needs help on this front, we're also trying to push 211 because we've really beefed that up. We can talk a little bit about that. But today we're really going to talk about beyond just calling the hotline. If you want to get your hands dirty and really do the work, who are the best people we know to make that happen? So in addition to Josh Friday, who's our chief service officer, and he runs what's called Cal Volunteers, which is the state service agency. We have Vanessa Bechtel joining us again, and I really thank you. President Bechtel runs the Ventura County Community Foundation. We also have our storied and heroic chief of police of Thousand Oaks for so long. He's recently retired. Tim Hagel has joined us, and he's going to talk a little bit about safe passages and just the incredible work going on the ground out there in the Conejo Valley region. I know Jay Winkenbach is also joining us from Red Cross, who's handling incredible work going on the blood services side, which Josh and Jay, we can get into a little bit later. We've had an outpouring of support. In fact, we've had to add more capacity because too many people want to help. Nancy Volpert, who is a dear friend, but a real lifeline to seniors and vulnerable people in the LA area. She runs the Jewish Family Services of Los Angeles. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about the work, but this is social work and poverty-driven work with a real touch in the Jewish community that is unique. And they've got their eye on a lot of the most needy in the entire region. So Nancy, thank you for joining. And then finally, Debbie Decker is joining us from the West Valley Food Pantry. So I want to talk about food insecurity and get into how people can do that. And lastly, we got a surprise guest from the LA Rams, but we'll introduce him later on. He's getting ready to actually do a draft. Can you imagine doing your NFL draft and like going through the combine, just watching YouTube videos? Who knows? Maybe they've got AI analytics that handle this stuff anyways, but we're wishing the Rams, some luck in the upcoming draft there. But Josh, can you just give us an overview? This is incredibly overwhelming. It's gotta be. And I know you were working already on housing, the climate crisis, and had a huge service program you were rolling out with Cal Volunteers, but How have your efforts shifted, and what's Cal Volunteers doing now to meet the crisis at hand?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Senator, and thank you again for having me on to represent the governor and the state, and also for the incredible lineup of really the frontline heroes, the organizations that you have on this call, and the folks that have stepped up to volunteer really are heroes of this entire crisis. So California Volunteers, as you said, is a state agency focused on service and volunteerism. And the governor asked me to come run it and created a cabinet level position because of really his commitment and his passion for engaging all people, for really wanting all Californians to be part of the solution on the biggest issues that we face. And so leading up into COVID, as you mentioned, we were engaging millions of Californians on climate issues, on homelessness, and on a variety of other things that our state is facing. But literally since the first day of the COVID crisis starting to pick up, and when the governor put in the first stay-at-home order for 65 and older a little over a month ago, and I think we're starting to see some of the early signs of positive impact from that early action. We were, and Cal Volunteers was at the table and thinking through how we as a society and we as a state were going to get through this. Because unlike any other really disaster or crisis that any of us have lived through in our lives, where you have a single event, whether it's an earthquake or a fire or a flood, this is a situation that literally affects every single Californian, and literally every Californian can do something to make a difference to help us get through this together, every healthy Californian. And so what we've been doing from the get-go is thinking about how do we take this moment where we're all affected, every single one of us is affected by this, no one is left unaffected, and turn it in a moment where we can unite and come together as a state and as a community to help each other, because that's what it's going to take for us to do this. And it starts with obviously staying at home and being safe. But since the beginning, we've rolled out several different types of activities that people can safely do to volunteer, to reach out in a safe way and help those who are in need, to join organizations that need the support. And we've created a bunch of materials on our website at serve.ca.gov. And the governor in almost every press conference has asked Californians to go to the website and to sign up and join us to be part of this fight. So we've really been... They're joining.
I mean, the response has been enormous, has it not? I mean, I heard about the health corps response. Can you, I mean, just
that's
even
right.
that example alone.
No, it's been awesome. No, the response has been incredible, and we've seen Californians step up in a massive way. So Health Corps' example, we launched Health Corps to provide to really support the surge that we are expecting in the crisis. And to date, I think the last numbers I saw had over 80,000 Californians with a healthcare background have signed up to be part of the mission. And that's just one example. We're seeing, right away, right after this crisis started, one of the first organizations, and that I'm going to talk about it because we still need everyone out there to sit up to step up and help support, but it's our food banks. We saw our food banks throughout the state are largely held up by the support of volunteers, a lot of them who were older Californians, who were seniors. So when this crisis started, food banks saw a dramatic drop in volunteers to support the food banks. And in order to basically make sure we could stabilize them, keep them running, and get food to our most vulnerable communities, we sent in at first initially the California Guard to help, but since then we've sent in California Conservation Corps across the state, Team Rubicon, and literally thousands of volunteers who have stepped up to fill that void. And it's just been an incredible show of unity across the state.
But really, that kind of organized structure, though, I mean, it sounds like you guys almost have given your Navy background, a military type approach to at least handling the back end of it, right? The food bank system, as I understand it, there had to be a lot of logistics in making sure everything was stabilized.
That's right.
So the Guard has been out there, but now you're deepening the ranks. Is that essentially where things stand?
That's exactly where things stand, and that's why we're asking people, and the governor just yesterday did it again, is asking people to go to serve.ca.gov and join us and sign up to work at a food bank, and then we're connecting you with local food banks. We're connecting you with local organizations, and so we're calling on everyone. This is the time where we need every Californian who's healthy and who's not in one of the vulnerable populations to join us and step up.
So I actually want to save the back and forth on food banks for those who maybe can't or are too busy dealing with childcare to actually get out there and do it, how they can help from home.
Yes.
You want to shed a little insight on that? Because I do want to let Debbie and some of our folks who are doing this on the ground talk about it too in a bit. But the homebound, even me, I got a 92-year-old father-in-law who I was thinking of doing a cameo with, but my lawyer said better not. He's a liability. But I don't really have a lawyer. I don't know. I just made that up. I'm my lawyer. But I can't go do this, right? Like I can't be the guy in there in those spots sort of doing that delivery. But what can I do?
Yeah, great question. And first of all, your 92-year-old father-in-law can inspire the rest of us, because he's the most rambunctious and generous person we all know. So we need him out there firing the rest of us up.
In there, we need him in there firing the rest of us up out there.
That's true. Exactly. That's right. So we need him making a video. So what we've done, because it's a very important question, and again, this is a unique situation where we are asking people to stay at home. We are asking people, especially those in the vulnerable populations, and yet we have a lot of ways that you can help from home. So we've put out some materials on our website, serve.ca.gov, that talks about how you can check on a neighbor. And we launched a neighbor-to-neighbor campaign that the governor and the first partner made calls and asked everyone to check on 5 of their neighbors and their friends and their family members who are seniors.
5, that's the goal?
That's the goal. If each person could do 5, we can hit everybody. And we've seen some heartbreaking examples of seniors who are left at home and isolated and weren't in a program and didn't have someone checking on them. And went a week or two with starting to run out of groceries and some basic supplies. And so it's so critical that people check on each other. And quite frankly, Senator, you may not know this, but right when this crisis started, you pushed us to ask, how do we check on those who are going to be left at home? How do we do wellness checks? And how do we make sure that those who are isolated are getting the support they need? And so because of you pushing us, we launched this neighbor-to-neighbor campaign. We created these materials that are on our website, and the governor's been asking everyone to check in on each other, and been running that big effort, because it really is one of the most important things you can do from home.
We heard like some amazing statistics on Nextdoor channels starting to get some traction. I mean, people are really making those calls, it sounds like.
Yes, they are. We're seeing that. We launched the neighbor-to-neighbor campaign and reached over 22,000 households throughout the state. And we're seeing it, and that's really the spirit of the moment that we're in, where people are coming together in amazing, inspirational ways. But that's the biggest thing that you can do to stay home, be safe,
and call 5 people. Five people. And you're saying outside maybe of your cohort, you don't necessarily need to call the person, text your friend, your mom in the room next door, but you're saying, like, think of that person who's at the family gatherings or in your PTA group or the teacher, or you're trying to search sort of in your neighborhood for someone who might, other people might not be checking on.
Exactly. Think about the person who maybe who might, may not have family nearby, may not have a big network, but is at home, is doing the right thing by being home right now. And we need help reaching out to them and making sure they have what they need, and also giving them the information, letting them know they can call 211, letting them know that there are resources for them out there. It's really important. Other things we could do, Senator, we're asking people to make face masks at home. I saw online, I think it was on the Twitter, that there's a face mask challenge that people are doing. So if you want to join the face mask challenge, please do that.
Are knitting skills required? This is my big question here. Or is this how you? Or sewing? I guess we sew.
Sewing. Yeah, or maybe just like rubber bands around bandanas or something. I think you can pull that off.
I don't think public health is going to approve it.
Good point.
So I would say go to the experts and go online and look at the mask challenge.
That's right.
I just got a beautiful one made by a friend of mine who's actually in the costume industry and his idle time from working on shows because all of Hollywood's shut down. So yeah. I have a hipster one. I'm not going to show it right now, though. We'll just tease that. But it's
all right. That's really, next Friday.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't do it in my own house. Like you don't need to practice that much.
Can I just a couple other things?
Yeah, please jump in.
Yeah. No, only just because it's such an important point that in this time, we are encouraging people to stay at home, and yet it's more important than ever that people stay connected. Right? We're physically distancing, but we have to stay for our own emotional health, our own mental health. Physical health as well. There's a lot of research that shows staying, volunteering and helping others has actually physical impact in terms of your health. So it's really important that people stay connected. So you can volunteer virtually. The Points of Light is an organization that has a great website for how you can volunteer virtually if you're looking for that kind of opportunity. And then also, I do think we're in a time where there's a lot of information flying out there. There's a lot of different theories. There's a lot of misinformation. People are trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. So what we would ask is if you can, share the resources that we've put out at California Volunteers on our website, serve.ca.gov. Share the resources of the governor. Share the resources of the state senators that are putting out. Those are trusted resources. They've been signed off by the Department of Public Health. And help us get the right kind of information out there. Really difference.
And just for those of you tuned in based on the ads we had in some of the local papers or those sort of very pretty one-pagers on all the opportunities and how to stay safe, know that that's coming straight from Cal Volunteers. So we're trying not to, come up with our own approach to this and really rely on the experts. On that note, before we bring on some of our local nonprofits to talk with us here, one of the things I'm going to be asking them, and I'm curious to hear from you, just the training that goes into actually going out into the field. We talked a little bit about, those who want to stay at home and sort of have to stay in that lane. But for, say, the health corps or for folks who are going to go do the front lines food service work, what kind of training is required for just a lay person to go do this work safely?
Yeah, so let me say first and foremost, the Director of Public Health for the state of California, Dr. Angel, and I recently put out guidance on how to volunteer safely and how to engage safely. And really, we're asking you to do the same thing we're asking every Californian to do, which is follow the guidelines, maintain a safe physical distance, wash your hands. If you're sick, don't go outside. So that's just at a base level, is we're just asking you, if you're going to volunteer and help out, just do the same thing we're asking everyone else to do. For health corps specifically, we're looking for people with a healthcare background. So if you have some sort of health training, we want you to sign up, and then we'll plug you in the right place. And for the other areas, whether it's at a food bank or going to give blood, or working at a shelter is a big place, or doing contact tracing, if you sign up at our website, serve.ca.gov, we will connect you with the right organization to give you the training that you need to go out there and to do this safely. But the most important thing, again, we'll reiterate, is we need you in California. We need you to if you're healthy, to volunteer, but we need you to do it safely, and that's the most important thing.
I've even heard that. I mean, folks are getting very creative, and in terms of handling the safety element. The FEMA training and some of the other work that goes on out there, it's really beautiful when it goes into motion in terms of when a lot of people have to move through sort of shared spaces, how to choreograph, say, a logistics supply chain without violating our social distancing orders. There are protocols for this, right? And there's a way to learn that dance, if you will. At least I'm told. I haven't gone in myself. Have you seen this?
Yeah, we call it the California Volunteer Dance. It's got a name.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is that on TikTok yet?
It will be. We're coming out tomorrow.
Okay, good.
So stay tuned. It's no, it is poetic. We are the partners, and we're about to hear from some of the experts on this. Have been very good at making sure that when you show up to volunteer, that you're kept safe, that the people that you're helping are kept safe. And what we're seeing, and I think this is why we're seeing the results we are in California, at least initially, knock on wood, is people are being responsible about making sure that when we do the essential things we need to do, like volunteering, like working in a food bank, and doing some of the other things, that we're doing it safely. Yeah, no, we're definitely, we're bending the curve. It is flattening. We just got to keep it up. Hey, Vanessa Bechtel, I know we got you on the line here. Do you have your TikTok ready for us? Did we brief you on that element? Everyone who's on the show now. So what's the Ventura County Community Foundation TikTok look like, Vanessa?
First of all, it's so great to see you, Senator Stern, and Josh. Thank you so much. That was really very interesting. And the Ventura County Community Foundation has definitely been mobilized in many different ways. Right away on March 13th, we launched in partnership with the County of Ventura, Amgen Foundation, Give an Hour, the Southeast Ventura County YMCA, and so many others, the Ventura County Rapid Response Fund for COVID-19. And this fund is really committed to three different purposes. One has been individual and family support. And I will tell you, I am incredibly just in awe of the work of the Southeast Ventura County YMCA, because they have successfully distributed checks to the first 2 rounds of individuals and families receiving funding from all over the county. And this is really emergency funding for families to help them get through this very difficult time. These are very low-income families throughout our county. And then also the funds have been going toward businesses and supporting small businesses. This is a really very challenging time, and the Economic Development Collaborative and the Women's Economic Ventures have been doing outstanding work there. And that the third area has been really focusing in on our nonprofit community. And I'm going to make sure to turn off my alerts. I'm sorry about that.
I don't know who notified.
But I just closed that window. But no, the nonprofit community has done Herculean effort, and our food banks for sure have been just really rising to the occasion, and Food Share, I've just been in awe. So that's our Ventura County Response Fund. And we also launched with our partners the 805 Undocu Fund for our undocumented neighbors. And I mean, this has been tremendous. I mean, we are seeing unprecedented need. We have already received over 5,500 applications. And these are individuals and families that make up our agriculture and farm worker community and our service workers. And, 65% of these families have lost all revenue and all income from their jobs. And they are in a really real need of real help. So we're lifting that off the ground. I'm very pleased that we've raised over 500,000 so far, but we're going to several million in this effort. And then finally, we've been working in partnership with Assemblymember Irwin's office as well to raise PPE equipment, personal protective equipment for our hospitals and our emergency workers. And so we've been collecting N95 masks, baby monitors with video capabilities, all the different types of support services that they could use. So really trying to really help.
So give us a little more there. How, if folks if they want to help with PPE or sort of help you just supercharge that community foundation engine, are you sort of are you the front door, if you will? Can folks just sort of work either through your rapid response fund if they have money to give, or if they want to help with the PPE, just come straight to you?
Absolutely. And this is where, the Community Foundation is really here to be of service to the community. And I am just in awe of the generosity. I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds of members of our community all across have been stepping forward to help. And if you have equipment, we have a full list. We can get that to you. You can call my line, 805-330-6676. That's my direct line. I have a few people on my team helping me monitor it. The volume's been tremendous. But if you have equipment, we can take those. And if you'd like to make a contribution, you can, of course, go to our website. And as always, PCCF is not charging any administrative fees, so that 100% of all contributions go directly to those who need it most and our nonprofit partners doing their great work.
Awesome. And just last bit of question there in terms of the economic recovery. Tell folks who are interested, what is the ED Collaborative and the other fund you talked about there?
These are community treasures, and it's really, I think one of the things that has been most eye-opening to me is just how many thousands of people out in our community right now are really tapping into resources for the very first time. This is an unprecedented crisis, and so people who have never needed help and support are finding themselves in a position where they need help. I think that's really true for our small businesses. These are very entrepreneurial individuals that are really committed, and many, just have never accessed. So I just want to let them know that the Economic Development Collaborative is a community treasure. They do small business administration. They help businesses access support services, and Women's Economic Venture also has tremendous programs for women-owned businesses, and they also have a special microfinance for businesses that are owned by women that are 5 or fewer employees. And they can really get access there as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I gotta say, every time, Vanessa, that we're going through something hard and haven't gone through Borderline with you and the fires, Thomas into Woolsey, we're so grateful to have a steadying presence at the helm with this community foundation. So thank you for what you're doing. And folks, even if you're on the nonprofit side and you need some of that guidance, they're a great resource. We know folks are even struggling with their own management challenges. You guys do a lot of capacity building out there in addition to doing this rapid response. So I don't want to make too much extra work for you, Vanessa, but folks out there, please lean on Vanessa as your hub for this life-saving, frankly, work that you're doing right now. So thank you.
Well, Senator Stern, I just want to echo how much I value and appreciate you as well. And just really want to stress that your community foundation is here. And so if you have questions, please visit our website at vccf.org or call me on my phone number, 805-330-7676, and we will get you plugged in. This is a time we need to all stick together. So we're a resilient community, and the Community Foundation is committed to 100% transparency. So at any point, if you want to know how the funds are being expended, we will send you a report, and we always publish that in regular intervals and have that verified by a public accounting firm.
Absolutely. And we know it's, we've seen in the papers, this is a time that is fraught with some peril, and we've seen, schemes come out or people say they have things they don't. So having credible, really professional operations vet this philanthropy too, I think is huge. But in terms of where energy's at on the ground, I wanted to go to one of the most energetic people we have, frankly, in all of Southern California. I don't know if he's coming to us live from the Santa Monica mountain trailheads, just looking longingly out there, wondering what our lions are doing, or keeping our young people safe, or playing Santa Claus and bringing presents out. Or Tim Hagel, Chief, are you? Where are you right now?
Senator Stern, how are you?
I knew you'd be somewhere good. You're virtual.
I am virtual, and I am 100 yards away from a Santa Monica Mountains trailhead, which just kills me.
That's what I'm saying. I
kills me.
Yeah. Well, good for you to obey the orders, and I've been doing the same. And no surfing on my end either. I've been looking at the swells, and I'm stopped. The boards are there, right? They're not being moved right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it kills me. I'm thinking about organizing a marathon where everybody gets on an exercycle or something and we run it virtual, but that's here nor there.
Good. Hey, tell us, I know amongst all your many community initiatives over the years, you built something very special that's continued on and really taken on a new dimension here in this COVID era. Can you talk a little bit about your work in the Conejo Valley with Safe Passages?
You bet, Senator Stern. Thank you. And thank you again for giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Safe Passage Youth Foundation was born in 2014 because of safety in micro communities. These are vulnerable, low-income communities, high-density communities in the east end of Thousand Oaks, Ventura County area. And so our solution was simple, and that was either the community can be a common unity and supply certain needed services to these communities, or the gangs will, and frankly, they were better. So we started back in 2014 with about 124 kids, 6 days a week, after school and all day on Saturday, with police officers, community volunteers, retired teachers, you name it. And keeping the kids engaged right in their micro communities, because as we all know, transportation, and I'll talk about that, is very difficult for those in these poverty type zones. So that was fine and dandy. Gang crime reduced by 44%, and life was fine until COVID. And once COVID struck, literally overnight, we swelled. Here we have 124 kids. I was just commenting to the Red Cross, which you'll hear from them. I think we served more meals in the last 6 weeks than we served in all of 2019 put together. And we give the kids meals every day after school, regardless of COVID. So COVID strikes. We realized rapidly overnight, with the guidance of the Ventura County Community Foundation and Mrs. Bechtel there, we realized overnight we've got to morph and bend this organization and respond rapidly. So back once the governor made his declaration, we activated all of our volunteers. Again, these are professional first responders, many of them retired, all to the same topic that Josh is talking about. These are people that have been through FEMA classes and highly trained first responders. And we converted, we bended and shifted from an after-school police youth program into 2 7-day-a-week COVID relief centers for micro communities, for the lowest income, the highest poverty that there is in the east end of Ventura County. And our goal was simple. We need to keep the families safe. These are families that have marginalized access to hoarding toilet paper isn't even on their topic. Right. They can't get the basics. So we decided, let's move in and do it for them. So we kept 3 pillars that we decided to do, and that was infant and mother care, feeding children, that's K through 12th grade, and providing rapid access to technology. These families can't afford Spectrum, Frontier, and other internet services. So overnight, we partnered with an incredible nonprofit on the east end of Ventura County called Conejo Community Outreach. And I really want to give them a shout out. This is a little grassroots organization that is mighty like an army. Why is it that way? It's made up of moms. You want to get stuff done? Have a woman do it. You really want to get stuff done? Have a mom do it, right?
That's right. That's right.
What does that mean? Since COVID started, we shifted from priority of STEM and art projects and homework with police officers helping, that we've dispersed over 7,000 diapers to moms. Every day we disperse diapers out to these moms and infants. And so each day we've swelled from over 124 kids to yesterday was our high. We're serving over 330 kids 7 days a week, 2 meals a day at both of our Safe Passage Youth Centers. So we've partnered with 3 huge partners, and that is the Conejo Valley Unified School District, the Conejo Recreation and Park District, and the American Red Cross, who I see you have as a guest here. And so that's what we're doing. So here's how it works. We are open 7 days a week. These are the same families that the police department and the city and the school district and park district serve outside of COVID. They arrive each day, Monday through Friday. The school district provides breakfast and lunch, and we deliver those breakfast and lunch to the children. At the same time, think of it like a giant military operation. These moms are in these micro communities. Access is very limited. So you don't want 350 moms all running into the markets, and we're able to provide the services to them right in their home micro communities. So what has typically been a disadvantage, actually for the larger community, works out for us bringing the daily services. So each mom every day gets a breakfast and lunch for their infant, all the way up till 18-year-old children. They're issued a set of disposable gloves, a face mask. We've handed out 10,000 disposable gloves to moms, over 700 face masks, and we have them all practicing social distancing with nothing better than a bunch of retired 3rd and 1st grade school teachers who we rapidly trained and are out there every day teaching the children social distancing.
So Chief, you've got on the front lines now teachers with our first responders, police officers, firefighters, all going and doing this work, getting these meals out straight, mom approved to moms. Am I getting this right?
You got it. Mom approved to moms every single day. And what it allows us and the school district and the park district is the moms picture they're coming out of these packed apartments and condos. They're only walking 200 yards for the services out in the fresh air.
Right.
We can check on the health and welfare of their infants. Today happens to be Formula Friday. Now you're like, Formula Friday? Yeah, every Friday we issue each mother with an infant a week's worth of baby formula.
Unbelievable.
If you're not sure how significant, and Senator Stern, it's been a long time since I had little kids.
I hope to be there.
Baby formula is expensive. And so just to relieve $30 or $40 a week for each mom with the baby formula. And the final is access to technology. Many of these immigrant micro communities before COVID had no internet, no cell phones. So we realized it could take weeks to months before Spectrum and some of these others, and there are some issues with that. So we rapidly contacted some cell phone companies and purchased a bunch of hotspots. And we have been passing out hotspots free of charge, no strings attached, where each family and multiple families can access with their children. We're issuing out Chromebooks that they can take home and access their school activities. So it's amazing. We could not do it. You know, it's the old, as my family in Germany says, it takes a village. And it does take a village, and it takes an entire community pulling together to make it happen.
Well, and it takes someone with humility and energy and joy in their heart at the center of it to make it happen. And that selflessness you show out there every day, and frankly, finding the fun in making an organization work, that making an operation tick. And bringing that sort of combination of village plus a military attention to detail is really very unique. And even down to what sounds like you're mapping out communities, right? And you're making sure that the supply chain comes to them, so we don't get bottlenecked and have safety concerns. I mean, that's got to bring in some of your training over the years too. I mean, it's a very humanitarian mission here, but am I getting that right?
You are. You know, my wife jokes, for 36 years I smelled like gunpowder, handcuffs, guns, all that. Now I smell like baby formula, apple juice, diapers. But it's really, I mean, I can't stress enough, it takes an entire group of trained people. Here you have the park district has turned, and the school districts, all school districts we should be grateful for, they've turned into relief organizations.
Right.
School districts. And so I think we're just terribly humble. As I heard you and Josh talk earlier, I really want to emphasize, as you have speakers that talk about the food banks, It is so important. You can make the difference with $50 worth of food to a low-income micro-community family can make the difference in their lives. And that's why these food banks are so important.
So we're going to get into it. I know, Vanessa, if you're still with us, the big deliverer there in Ventura County is our food share, right? That's Ventura County Food Share.
Yes. And actually, what's wonderful too is that food share. Oh, here's my video. First of all, Tim Hagel, I just think you are just awesome. Thank you for all that you've been doing with Safe Passage and just tremendous work. So I just want to say I'm
in the fan club with you.
A big shout out back to all of you.
And one of the things I just want to say about Monica White, President and CEO of Food Share, is that she has risen to the occasion in an admirable and heroic way. I mean, frankly, redesigning their entire supply chain management to get these pop-up pantries all over our county. So, and they're giving food to a number of our nonprofit partners at no cost as well, so that we can maximize every dollar raised and really get the best price, because they're able to buy in bulk from special offers.
Yeah, and Debbie Decker, I know we had you slated to go towards the end, but do you mind improvising with us a bit here and jumping in, just giving us a snapshot on the food security issue in the West Valley? If our folks from Red Cross and Nancy Volpert, I want to close with you with Jewish Family Services, but is Debbie on with us?
I'm on. Am I on?
Yeah, I didn't mean to surprise you with I know we try to keep it a little fresh here on our variety show.
I love that.
The variety show of volunteerism. You know, people need a little energy in their day. Debbie, you're really at the heart of part of our LA County COVID crisis in the region.
Yes.
We know West Valley's been hit hard, but we've been doing this for so many years and trying to solve our community's challenges. How bad is it out there right now? Is there the kind of need we're hearing on the Los Angeles side that Vanessa and Tim have been talking about on the Ventura side?
Yes, absolutely. And I have to say, it's heartbreaking. It really is. We've been at this for 35 years, and our numbers used to be between 2,500 and 3,000 a month that we were serving groceries to. And our numbers over the last 5 weeks have exponentially grown. I'm estimating now that we're giving groceries to about 500 to 800 people a day. And so just trying to extrapolate, we're only mid-month now, but I'm thinking that by the end of the month, by the 30th of April, we will have given groceries to 11,000 to 15 or 14,000 people, somewhere in that neighborhood. Every day, our numbers are rising. We'll have, 150 cars. The next day we'll have 160, and then the next day we have 190. And it's so the need is great, and the people that are coming, I would say 85 to 90% of the people that are visiting us now have never been to a food pantry. They are terrified. They've never needed money. They've been able to make it. They may not be wealthy, but they have never had to ask for food. And now I had people here with children, single moms, married people with their children, and tears in their eyes, just saying, we both got laid off. The check is in the mail. We have no way to pay our rent, our electric bill. We can't even buy groceries. And so they come to us, and they've never been to a pantry before. They've never asked for anything. So the stories are as varied as the people, but the need is great. And it's never, ever been great. We've done this for 35 years, and I've never seen this kind of need. So we are rising to it. We're getting government funding. We're getting government assistance. The LA Regional Food Bank has been wonderful to us. So we are managing to meet the need, barely. I have in our storerooms right now about a week's worth of groceries.
Okay.
To make it. So we need more. We We are totally dependent on donations of either financial or canned goods being delivered here. But the need is great, and the stories are tragic, and we are meeting it so far.
But so, Debbie, I mean, there's no shame in showing up and seeking a little hand up. And I think we've seen that. I know personally, we've been doing a lot of organizing with college students and
Yes.
food insecurity among, our community college and Cal State students. Total issue where now no more stigma, right? Like everyone needs a little helping hand fill in the gap in their meal plan for the week. And
It's absolutely true.
So if for those of us, for viewers out there listening, I mean, if you're stocked right now, you've got a week there. If they're feeling a gap and they have a need, talk us through. What does it mean? How do you show up? What are we going to see there? What could I get for dinner? How would it work?
We're focusing on staples right now. We used to specialize. Now we don't have that luxury anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to provide rice, beans, peanut butter, bread, tuna fish, things that pasta sauce, things that families can make meals out of.
I do a lovely tuna spaghetti. I'm just going to tell you, do not call that a staple, because there's a way you put some olives in there, you saute the onions a little bit. There's a way, like you can, and rice and beans, this has been standby forever. If you're a Californian, you should like rice and beans. So don't knock yourself too much. When I show up though and say, I want to collect that sort of a meal, how is the interface with, does it get crowded? How do you guys handle the safety issues around that? What could I expect walking in the door? Is there a door?
There is no door. We just this week, we did have a walk-up window where we were spacing everyone 6 feet apart. We had taped lines down where people had to line up, and we just had so many people on the campus that we couldn't do that anymore. So we are now a drive-through. And so you come in your car, you never leave your car. We have young guys, college students who are volunteering, and thank you, Cal State Northridge, that are here, and they are going along the line of cars along the street. They're giving them a half a sheet of paper that they complete. And then when they drive up into into our parking lot, they hand over the piece of paper, their ID, a picture ID, and we don't care where your picture ID is from. It can be from anywhere. We just want to know that the person that is asking for the food is the same person that's driving the car. That's it. So we don't care where your ID is from.
Yep.
And so we ask for a picture ID, we give it back to you, and we ask you to pull forward. It says on your paper how many are in your family, and we try to give you an appropriate amount of food for that number in the family. So if there's 4 in a family, you'll get this one bag. If
nice.
More than 4, you get a much larger bag. When we have meat, and we've had some amazing grocery stores donating meat to us. So when there is meat, you may find meat in your package of groceries. We also have fresh vegetables and fruit that we're adding too. So you are going fruit, fresh vegetables, canned food, canned vegetables, canned fruit, soups, and and so you have at least a week's worth of groceries for your family for that one drive through. So say you're a high school student and you want to join those CSUN guys out there, and you got idle hands, or you want to pitch in some way. Do you guys have that capacity to do some training and add more? Could you use more help within the ranks? Always. Yes. Strong, young bodies, not my decrepit old one. Yes.
No. But people want to move boxes around, and there's a way to do that safely.
Yes.
How are the boys from CSUN out there doing it right now?
Well, they kind of line up loosely, and then as a truck unloads or a car pulls in and has food for us that they're donating, we ask that they pop their trunk. We don't want the person who's donating to get out of their car. They pop their trunk. The boys will go, they'll lift the food out, and they take it into our distribution room or into our storage sheds.
Got it.
Everyone is masked, And we provide gloves because we want the gloves changed often. We ask that our volunteers come with masks because that gets not only expensive, but it's very hard for us to get. So, but we have gloves. So we do ask that they change gloves often. We have people sorting food into the bags at 6-foot tables, one person to
One per, okay.
that self limits how close they can get. And so we have some people in a big room that are sorting and putting together these bags, various sizes to accommodate the sizes of the families that are coming through. And then those are all brought to the parking lot. Our clients stay in their car. Our volunteers, again, ask the client to pop open their trunk. The food is put into
Pretty nice.
And then the client drives away and we move on to the next car. It's working like a well-oiled machine.
It sounds beautiful. And to all the girls out there, outdo the boys at CSUN. Like, you know, we got to have some counterweight. So I want to see, I don't know who it is, the water polo team at
We've had
Pepperdine
Girl
or
Scouts
something.
here too. We've had the Girl Scouts here.
Well, good. Yeah, if they're not selling cookies, then they better be moving boxes.
We've had Girl Scouts. We've had various groups here, and
Awesome.
Wonderful. And the girls are pretty amazing. They're if the load gets heavy, they will form a big line and they sort of will take things out of the box and they kind of toss it and they make a game. And we also have music going, so it's
Beautiful.
fun out on the parking lot.
So if folks want to, we'll put the link in our feed and make sure we get it out to the viewers. But essentially, you're open for business, both for clients and for people to help. And bless you for it. Bless you for it, Debbie.
5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. All right. Well, so those of you tuning in, let's see if we can rally a troop to get out there next week and get trained up.
That'd be great.
I know also, you know, these questions linger for those of you who might want to venture out and do some of this sort of essential volunteer services like food work and might feel uncomfortable, but maybe now that you heard from Debbie, it sounds a little more real and maybe a little less scary or unknown. You know, for Red Cross, I know it's been a similar challenge. And I was hoping that we could just pivot over for a second and just talk to Mr. Winkenbach about just the huge need for blood donation right now, but also the experience, like Debbie was talking about, going to that food bank. How is it if I want to go give blood right now through the Red Cross? And is there a safe way to do it?
Absolutely. And thank you, Senator Stern. I appreciate you providing this platform and also for including the Red Cross. And what a tremendous group of people that you've pulled together. I do want to start out by saying that our mission during this health emergency has been to ensure that we have an adequate blood supply for our hospitals. And, you know, I've been with the Red Cross for about 22 years. I've never seen such humanity since 9/11. I mean, it has been the support that I've seen over the last 3 weeks has been just incredible. This all started that week of, really the week of March 13th. We had a significant number of blood drives that canceled. All of the schools, as we know, came off of our calendar. That's about 25% of the blood that we collect is from high school and college students. And all of the non-essential businesses and community blood drives came off the calendar. We were then in a situation where we're all about planning, and you look at the demand for blood from the hospitals and what you need to collect to meet that demand. We were looking at potentially a very critical situation with our blood supply. Also the unknown, of not knowing when there could be a disaster around the corner at the same time as well. We always have to have blood. So we had to go out and we had to basically call on a national and media appeal for an urgent need for blood. And I'll tell you, this appeal the outpouring was overwhelming. We had the media support, we had the CDC, we had the Surgeon General, we had the FDA, we had certainly our local leadership like yourself, Senator, as well as our governor, who was amazing in his support of getting that word out there that there's a critical need for blood. These times we need to step up and we need to go out it is essential to donate blood. Let's make this happen. And so we were able to. Now we're at a point where we do have an adequate supply of blood, thanks to everyone and all of the support. We also have to understand that the demand for blood has decreased based on the fact that all elective surgeries were canceled, as well as there's less trauma and emergencies coming into the hospitals. And so we had to fluctuate based on what we can collect, what that demand for blood is, and we've been able to keep that stable right now. The message that we're giving to everyone, though, is that we must sustain, that's the key word, sustain that blood supply for the coming weeks, for the coming months into the summer. And so that is really our call to action now, is to go on redcrossblood.org, put in your zip code, and you can find a close location and give that gift of life. And we need to continue to sustain this moving forward. But we're so thankful for the support. And, Tim talked about some other things that we're doing at the Red Cross. It's a wonderful time for us to unite and come together. And our resilient communities are incredible. And when we have a call to action, they step up. And so I've never been so proud to work for our organization, to work for our community.
Jay, I thank you for the inspiration. We need it. It's when you put these calls to action out there, you hope that your little drive that we organize in our little stretch of the San Fernando Valley or over in the Conejo Valley gets people show up, and they kept getting filled up, and we were oversubscribed, and you wonder, so does that mean it's working everywhere? I mean, Josh, have you seen just statewide that same kind of responsiveness that Jay's talking about, where when you say we got to hit this bar, like people are really showing up in spades and making it work?
We really are, Senator, and Jay's absolutely right. That Californians have stepped up. I went and gave blood with the Surgeon General, Dr. Nadine Harris, and we went in, and the Red Cross there was at capacity because people have heard the call and they've stepped up in a really big way. And so we're grateful for that. Californians understand that this is the time to come together, and we just need to keep pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will sustain, Jay, and thank you to all your colleagues and for your years of work being ready. You enter a crisis relying on the team you got, and to have you guys as part of this team to meet it, it's the reason we'll probably make it through. There's been a lot of tragedy, and it's not going to be done, but we're digging deep here. So thanks for joining us, and we'll keep people posted. In terms of just another look at our sort of regional profile and need out there, Nancy, I know you've been doing years of work with Jewish Family Services and have a unique insight into the demands of those who might get left behind in Los Angeles and in the Valley especially. Have you seen, the kind of new demand that Debbie's talking about? Have you seen that kind of surge within your ranks at JFS? And can you even just talk a little bit about who you visit? Who are those people that JFS is serving?
Absolutely. First, Senator Stern, thank you so much for including us. It's a really important conversation for us to have, and getting to hear from Mr. Friday directly as opposed to through email has actually been really wonderful.
He's a real person.
It's a real person behind the name. So thank you for doing this. And thank you to everyone who's participating on a Friday afternoon. As some of you know, Jewish Family Service has been providing services in LA County for 165 years. We sort of came with before the Civil War, and with LA was founded. And really, since this crisis began, we've been focused on providing individuals with the food and emotional support that they need. So among the things that we've been doing, we provide meals to seniors. So we used to have meal sites, and we've transitioned to home delivered meals. We're providing about 700 seniors right now with meals, and we are looking to expand that capacity. We have the food pantry, which I'll talk about in a minute. We have our counselors who are still providing case management and ongoing counseling and support for people who need it. And our domestic violence shelters continue to be open, and our domestic violence hotlines are open and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are multilingual. Please call if you need it. We also have a community response line, which is available if you don't know where to start and you're looking for services in LA County. Call our community response line, which is 877-275-4537. And they will also help get you started. Please be patient to answer your actual question. The number of calls to our community response line have quadrupled since compared to this time last year. So it is taking us time to reply to all of the calls, but they will be responded to. At JFS SOVA, which is our food pantry program that some of you may know based out in Van Nuys, we have also seen a doubling in response. Many of the same things that Debbie mentioned, we're seeing at JFS as well. Our distributions are Sunday to Thursday. We've gone to a pre-packed model as well. We are in need of volunteers who can come into the pantry Sunday to Thursdays. It's about a 5-hour shift. We provide masks, we provide gloves, we provide physical distancing to make sure that all of the guidelines are being followed. But we need people who can help with the packing of groceries, because what we're doing, in addition to now doing pre-packed groceries that are provided to someone's car, we are also looking at ways to deliver groceries to homebound seniors. And so we have partnered with the City Department of Aging, Access Paratransit, we have volunteers, and with others to look at how we can also deliver groceries to those who cannot come to us, which is not something we've done previously.
And is that, I mean, who handles the logistics challenge of that final mile from supply chain to home?
Right now, it's our amazing staff. My colleagues have been turning themselves inside out to try and meet the need. It has been an amazing experience to watch my colleagues step up in ways that have really transformed our agency, almost on the turn of a dime. It's really interesting. Josh mentioned a lot of the resources that have been available to food banks. We are lucky. We partner with both LA Regional Food Bank and Westside Food Bank. But unfortunately, a lot of those extra hands have been available at the food banks themselves, and they haven't yet come through to the food pantries, which is the next step in the distribution. And so we are unbelievably thankful for LA Regional. That's where we're getting a lot of our groceries. As Debbie mentioned, though, grocery access is an issue right now. Many of our food supplies have come in the past from grocery store overage. There are 0 overage at any grocery store right now.
So Josh, have you seen that start to become an issue in terms of statewide just volunteer gaps, or where there's really demand for people is on that sort of delivery side, maybe not the back end of the food system, but that part where you end up making that direct interface with the client?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That we're seeing it at the. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, you're absolutely right. The pantries. We've seen hundreds of pantries around the state have to close down due to the lack of volunteer and personnel support, and so that's where we had to focus on stabilizing the food banks first, which I think we've done a good job of. But Nancy's absolutely right. We got to focus on meeting the needs at the pantry level, because that is the local community level where people get their resources. And then we also have to, because we're asking people to stay home, and a lot of the community centers and senior centers where people were used to going to get their food are no longer serving, we have to do more to meet the needs on the home delivery side. And so one of the reasons that we set up the 211 lines that we're encouraging people to call and connect people locally so that we can meet that last mile issue.
You guys, talk me through what's the work like. We heard about the socially distanced supply chain, and we heard about that's going on in our Debbie's West Valley operation. What's the what's the work itself look like, Nancy and Josh? How if I want to sign up to be a driver, can I feel safe to do that even if I'm in a cohort? I'm not just a single person on my own.
Nancy, you want to go?
Sure. Right now we are using some volunteer drivers, but everybody has to have masks and gloves because we went on and they have to do their screening because, of course, we're not going to share a client's home address with someone who hasn't gone through a volunteer screening. But for the work in the STOVA itself, I agree with Debbie. I think it's fun. Because there's a lot of camaraderie and there's a huge sense of accomplishment. If you've ever seen those barrels in front of someone doing a food drive, they are wonderful to throw things into. I can promise you that undoing them is always
not pretty.
It's not pretty. No. But, it really makes a difference. And so there is something to be said for looking, what do people throw in and how did it get sorted and how can we put things together?
Right. The most expert spotters in like the canned peas, like you just become a hawk and you like run that. I would imagine it's somewhat therapeutic too. If you're sitting there getting antsy at your house and you're like, okay, I've already Swiftered my entire living room and called all my relatives. Like, is there something, you actually get to be around something happening too. I would imagine that's kind of a good feeling.
You're asking us, of course, we think volunteerism is amazing and rewarding, and it's a way to make a difference in a situation that's really complicated and trying to make sure that we are protecting the health of our clients, our volunteers, and our staff. And as you mentioned, 95% of the volunteers for this program are in high-risk categories. And so that's another reason we've had to transition our model. And we've also looked to reassign staff who are in programs that aren't currently able to do that work to move them into these roles where possible.
Yeah. And Josh, do you think, are folks getting the message about how to go do this work? If they're out there listening, to do the work safely, what kind of time commitment, what am I committing myself to if I want to go out and go do that benevolent supply chain and be the can sorter or whatever it is that I got to do to make things happen? How much does it take to make sure I'm safe? Yeah, I got my gloves, my mask. What else?
Honestly, Senator, I think you're making the same commitment we're asking every Californian to make, which is to follow the guidelines of the public health department. It's to stay physically at a safe distance, to wash your hands, don't go outside if you're sick. And it's to follow the normal rules that we're asking every Californian. So the answer is that it's easy to do once you've made that commitment to make a difference and help lift up somebody in need.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying to figure out how else to serve other than just sending text messages and Facebooks here. But if I can get my father-in-law sort of isolated as a sub-cohort, we'll be able to negotiate something new. But I hope my wife's not listening to this, so I'm working on it. I'm going to try to free myself up.
Town hall with your father-in-law is the best thing you could do to serve the state of California.
Yeah, I want my job though. I got to keep. I think
videos with your father-in-law would be great.
Really?
But you asked about what the time commitment is, and I can tell you that a single shift at SOVA is 5 to 6 hours, and we're asking you to commit to one shift. But I'd like to think that once you do it once, you're going to want to come back. And we certainly find that once someone has come once, they want to do it again. And so it's not a huge time commitment, and someone can try it, and hopefully they love it as much as we do. But they're not obligated to come a second time, but we certainly would hope they would.
Well, so what I would challenge everyone who's been tuning in today is hook up with one of these organizations you've been here and you've heard from. Sign up also at serve.ca.gov and just find your lane, find your niche in your neighborhood. And you don't have to try to solve the entire state of California's problems, but I think you've got some incredible opportunities here with Nancy and Jay and Debbie and Vanessa and Tim. I mean, it doesn't matter if you live in Agoura or Thousand Oaks, or you're in the North San Fernando Valley, or out in Santa Clarita, or in Tarzana or Encino, or even hanging out in Malibu. Like, we've got resources for you. So if you need the help to help, we're here. And Josh, I know we're going to have more updates from your agency and the governor in the weeks to come, but please, on behalf of all our constituents, thank you, and thank you to the governor. I could be no prouder to be a Californian than I am now with his leadership at the helm. We're seeing it in real time, and it's not to decry what any other state's doing, because you don't want to look down at other people who are hurting, and we know people are hurting, and frankly, we're giving them health capacity and sending out ventilators and doing that nation state work. But I gotta say, I sleep easier knowing that you guys are in there doing what you do every day. So thank you, Josh, for your service, sir. And I know we've got, before we wrap up, there's a few other Angelinos who have also been giving some service, not just on doing planks and push-ups in their living room, trying to stay in shape for the upcoming NFL season, but also to help our community stand up strong, and that's the LA Rams. We were very lucky to have their president tune in a little earlier today. So I want you guys to hear from Kevin briefly, and we'll wrap it up from there. But thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we love you. We're going to be back next week with more opportunities, and stay tuned. We're also going to be talking about economic recovery in our next town halls coming up next week. So we're starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but right now, stay vigilant, stay safe, stay at home. And when you do leave, essential services only, like volunteering and helping your community. So I'll kick it over to my former self. Staff, you want to make this look seamless? In fact, the architect, not just of the organization and the team you see, but also a lot of the behind the scenes generosity that's been going on with the LA Rams. Kevin Demo, welcome to our little live program.
Thank you. It's great to join on a Friday. So
yeah,
it's rare that interviews midday Friday actually come to fruition. So this is a fun one to do.
Yeah, technically we're coming live, but we know you've appropriately decorated your home. I noticed you're staying consistent with the team. Did you plan that out? Did Rothko?
We bought this print about 20 years ago, so maybe it was destiny that it would work with our new colors and where we head out. So
that's great. You have foresight. We're looking for that in our president. So thank you for being such an amazing president and COO of the organization. After the fire, after Borderline, so many different tragedies have hit this community, but especially here now that it affects the organization so intimately and everyone who works there, as well as the sort of bottom line of the league. Can you just give us a little background about the moment right now and how the Rams have been responding?
Yeah, look, I think the moment right now is, it's unique where we always view our role as a football team and a football organization to bring joy to others through games. And I think, as you mentioned, certainly for those of us in the Conejo Valley, when you looked at the Borderline shooting, the fires, we were able immediately, despite not being able to get in our office, very similar situation to now. I think those of us who have been evacuated and learned to work from different places came to be, you can provide that immediate sense of relief. And I think sports has always played that when you look at tragedies throughout time and history. All sports leagues, all sports teams have that chance to bring people back together and get to normalcy. Unfortunately, that's not possible right now. And so I think as an organization, you try to look in your toolkit to see what can we do, since we can't bring people together. In fact, we want to keep them as far away apart, to leverage the power of our brand, our organization, our players, our coaches, to help drive this relief, to help drive this effort. And so that's really where you jump in. I think it starts, though, with having built such good relationships in the community over the past 4 years in our return to Los Angeles. You're plugged in. I think, as you know, when you start to go through any crisis, any emergency, it's the work you've done ahead of time, planning, and the relationships you've built that really help propel you through that time.
So talk a little bit about some of those partnerships you've built and what you've been doing.
Yeah, I think it first started out very, I would say the second week in the shelter at home, we jumped in with a telethon, and we do a lot of work with United Way in terms of their homelessness. We normally chair their home walk and a number of other items that serve on the board. So we partnered with them and the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. We also had a number of programs with over the past few years to do a telethon with ABC7, who is our television partner here locally, that raised over $2.2 million to help do those meals. In addition, we helped sponsor 20 mobile food trucks for the Regional Food Bank. And I think impressively, you saw Jared Goff and Andrew Whitworth, two residents of your district, step up and each donate $250,000 to the LA Regional Food Bank to contribute over 2 million meals. We've jumped in Inglewood to do food drives, to work with students there. We partner with LAUSD to make sure that their give and go meal centers for students who need meals are up and running. So I think those efforts continue. And I think the hard part is, I think we all know this, it's been so amazing to see the generosity and spirit of Angelinos and really those nationwide and worldwide, in the first kind of months of this crisis. But we know this need's going to be ongoing for a very long time for people who have lost their jobs and for people who are really challenged, by these situations.
Yeah, this unfortunately is not the kind of fire that just burns through. It is going to have lasting impact. But as we've heard on this call, and the governor's made this a huge priority, meeting that food deficit gap has been huge. And what you've done with the LA Regional Food Bank and United Way on that front has saved a lot of people. I also heard that Andrew promised not to eat any of the meals. That'd be a very dangerous. Hopefully it's just contributions and no sort of in-kind eating capacity, because I fear what that man can put down in a single lunch.
Well, it's good on one hand and bad on the other. That'd be great to help the food deficit, but we need Andrew to be that big come this fall. So we didn't just extend it for 3 years. So we'll balance it out. Maybe some protein shakes that wouldn't travel as well for meals would be great for Andrew. Jared could put on some weight as well.
That's the thing. We have enough. We are in the breadbasket of the whole nation. And so it's really a matter of getting the food to where it needs to go. So I think we've got enough to get Jared strong, keep Andrew enormous, and feed LA. So you guys have been showing that in spades, Kevin. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have an operation and organization to run, but just can you give us a little insight personally? I mean, your dad here, and you're trying to be a leader of an organization, but you also got to, I know, go through the personal side of this too. I don't have as much to juggle. How have you been dealing with it, even just at home in your personal life and your family? You got to. I understand you have to be a teacher and a president at the same time.
I'm a terrible teacher. I don't have the patience. I think one of the things when you start to lead organizations is eventually, you get used to working with people, their cadence, but ultimately deep down, hopefully your staff respects you and listens to you. And I've learned as a teacher, my kids have no respect for my ability.
Don't worry.
Trying to teach kids division or pre-algebra, I just show them Microsoft Excel does all the work for them. No. And it's a useless exercise to even learn some of these things, these days. So I've taught them good life skills, but struggled. I was hoping, as we went through this, that try to figure out a way to stay physically active, to get a Peloton. We didn't do that. Instead, we got a trampoline for the family. So it's been great for the kids, and they've enjoyed it. But I'll probably put on an extra few pounds sitting home. But look, I think for everybody, as you try to navigate through this, it's how do you stay in touch? And, so many people have mentioned the idea of socially distancing. It's really just physical distancing and making sure you see people face to face, whether it's through FaceTime whether it's through Zoom. We use a lot of Microsoft Teams on our end. I think it's the same thing you're doing here with your constituents, right? You want to hear from people and see them and feel them just in the same way we would on a normal, day-to-day basis. And I'm sure there's some elements of this that are great. To be able to not have a commute is fantastic. And I think for all of us Angelinos, that is something, great, and to use that time. But, I think at the same time, there are elements, I think, for all of us where those 5-minute interactions, when you can gather 3 or 4 people and have a conversation, losing those, makes it strenuous. And the NFL has been great. We worked through, free agency stayed, the draft will be next week. A ton of great charitable components to the draft, really, which will give back to a number of organizations throughout Los Angeles, throughout the United States as part of this. So I think we're all balancing, and you're grateful for the technology. You're grateful for the chance to have a great team that can work together. And for us, it is all about, our goal was to open a new stadium, in July. We just announced this morning that Taylor Swift has postponed all of her concerts worldwide until 2021. But there's so many great things in our future for the Rams, for SoFi Stadium, for Hollywood Park, for Los Angeles, for all of Southern California. They may not happen in the next few months, but that's not to say that they won't happen come this fall, come 2021, come 2022. And what still excites us, this is short term. The pain, may be longer than short term for all, but how do we all chip in to make sure that our region comes through this stronger than we entered it?
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm betting on LA and California. We are resilient, and we've been hit before, so I know we're going to sustain this and keep going down the field here. So listen, Kevin, I know you got a draft to prepare for. I know you got an organization to run. You're incredibly generous to give us your time. I'm shocked that it wasn't interrupted by Microsoft Excel and algebra questions. But I am glad you have outsourced that to more capable hands, and you can focus on running the best football team in the world. So thank you for taking your time. And hey, if folks want to just follow the organization, I mean, they can go on Twitter and see Jared and Andrew and all the other efforts you've been doing with United Way as well, I assume. So we'll make sure to promote all that and let folks pitch in what small way they can as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Senator. And, we look forward to helping lead this recovery whenever we can start that process. We'll do it right now, but it's great to have the entire district as our partners in doing this. We love being part of it and can't wait to do more.
Right on, man. All right. We'll see you soon.
And a seamless transition now. Back to same mug, same guy, but no more LA Rams. Thanks to everyone who tuned in this afternoon. We appreciate your time. We'll be coming back next week. If you have a nonprofit or an issue you're involved with and you want some additional help or other ways to promote your work, let us know. And in the meantime, please stay home. You'll save lives. And we're all going to make it through this together. Thank you to all our partners today and for tuning in on this Friday afternoon. Take good care.